The first wrong thing was the angle of Grayson Lopez's wrist. He sat 3 chairs down from me at the Valentine's Day dinner, smiling at the restaurant entrance as if the doorway itself had promised him entertainment. His phone rested loosely in his hand, but the camera lens was already awake, angled low beneath the candlelight. I noticed because noticing was my job. A field archaeologist survives by reading what other people overlook. A line in the dirt, a broken tile facing the wrong way, a footprint that should not be inside a sealed trench. Grayson's phone was not pointed at the jazz trio near the bar. It was pointed at the door. The private dining room smelled of seared steak, red wine, and expensive cologne. Candle flames trembled inside glass holders along the long table. The university's history department had rented the room for what the invitation called a professional networking dinner, but no one was networking. They were waiting. That was the second wrong thing. 2 lecturers had their phones face down, but unlocked. A donor relations officer lifted her water glass and forgot to drink. Someone near the end of the table whispered, then went silent when I looked up. I ran my thumb across the cracked leather binding of the field notebook, resting against my knee beneath the table. That notebook had been with me through desert heat, failed digs, grant hearings, and one professional scandal I still had not forgiven myself for surviving quietly. Whenever I touched the broken spine, I remembered the same rule. Do not disturb the site before you understand it. Grayson tapped his knife against his glass. She should be here any minute, he said. His voice was too light. I looked at him. Who? He smiled. Your date. The word landed wrong. I had not agreed to a date. I had agreed to attend this dinner because our department chair had hinted that visibility mattered before the summer excavation budget was finalized. Grayson sat on the internal review committee. My North Ridge site needed funding, permit support, and 2 graduate assistants. He knew all of that. He loved knowing it. You told me this was a donor dinner, I said. It is, Grayson said. And, mostly? But you've been buried in field notes too long, Anderson. I thought you deserved to meet someone unforgettable. A few people dropped their eyes. The oak doors opened. Eliza Richardson stepped into the room. She paused, just inside the entrance, one hand on the strap of her leather bag, her dark wool coat open over a champagne-colored dress chosen for a professional evening, not for display. Her hair had been touched by the February wind. Her face was calm, intelligent, and still. Then her eyes moved across the table. She saw the phones. She saw the smirks. She saw the empty chair across from me. And in that 1 second, I watched a woman understand that she had not been invited. She had been arranged. Eliza was 36, 6 years older than me, an archival historian at the city library's preservation wing and one of the sharpest minds in our field. She had spent a decade rescuing municipal records from leaking basements, careless donors, and administrators who only cared about history after a wealthy name could be attached to it. She was also applying for the Mellon Archival Grant. Grayson had a competing proposal. Now, the trap was complete. He had invited her under the lie of a professional dinner and invited me under the pressure of department politics. He wanted my reaction to hurt her. A hesitation, a forced smile, a look of discomfort he could film and pass around as a joke. He wanted her dignity to become a table story. Eliza's fingers tightened once on her bag strap. Not much. Just enough to leave a pale mark against the leather. 5 years earlier, I had sat in a room while a committee destroyed my mentor's reputation with a fabricated ledger report. I had noticed every inconsistency. I had written notes. I had waited for the proper moment to speak. By the time I had enough evidence, the lie had already become history. Silence is never neutral. It signs the record in invisible ink. Grayson leaned toward me. Wait for it. I pushed my chair back. The wooden legs scraped across the tile, loud enough to cut through the jazz. Grayson's smile twitched. Someone whispered my name like a warning. I picked up my field notebook and walked straight toward Eliza. Not too fast. Running would make her look like the disaster. She was not the disaster. The cruelty was. I stopped 2 feet in front of her, placing my shoulders between her and Grayson's phone. Eliza, I said, my voice carrying clearly back to the table. I'm Anderson Evans. Her eyes met mine. Guarded, calm, braced. Anderson, she said. I was told this was a department introduction. You were lied to. The room behind me froze. Grayson made a soft sound, half laugh, half warning. I did not turn. Grayson arranged this as a setup, I said. Several people at that table have their phones out. I believe they were waiting to film my reaction to you walking in. Eliza looked past my shoulder. She confirmed the room in one glance. When she looked back at me, her face had not broken, but something behind her eyes had gone very still. "I see," she said. "I'm sorry you had to walk into this before anyone told you the truth." Her chin lifted. "I don't need pity." "No," I said. "You need options." That reached her. I kept my hands at my sides. No touch, no guiding hand, no performance of rescue. "We can leave now," I said. "We can stay and make them explain themselves on record. Or I can ask the manager for a private table away from the department and let Grayson enjoy his own company. Your choice." For the first time, something almost like humor touched her eyes. "His own company sounds like punishment enough," she said. "It does. I'd like to leave." "Then we leave." She opened the door herself. I walked beside her, not in front of her, as we crossed the room. Grayson's phone followed us until I looked directly into the lens. Then he lowered it. At the door, I turned back. "Delete whatever you recorded," I said. Grayson spread his hands. "Relax, Anderson. It was a joke." "No," I said. "A joke lets the target laugh." The restaurant manager had appeared near the bar, his eyes moving from the phones to Eliza's face. He understood enough to look ashamed. Eliza stepped out first. The February cold hit like clean glass. Outside, traffic hissed along wet pavement. The city lights blurred in the thin rain. Eliza stopped beneath the awning and buttoned her coat with careful fingers. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The restaurant door closed behind us, shutting away the wine, the laughter, the cowardice. She looked at me like I was a document with a missing page. "You really didn't know? No, Grayson controls part of your excavation review." "Yes, and you still walked out?" I should have moved faster. That stopped her. Most people expect a man to praise himself after one decent act. I had no interest in becoming the hero of a situation I should have prevented sooner. I touched the cracked, leather notebook. I paused. I said, "I was reading the room instead of protecting the person standing in it." Eliza studied me. "That is an unusually accurate self-indictment." I labeled damage carefully. Her mouth moved, almost a smile. The wind cut between us. She folded her arms tighter against the cold. "Have you eaten?" I asked. "No." "Neither have I. There's a diner 3 blocks away. The coffee tastes like it was brewed with old pennies, but no one from the university goes there. I'm splitting the check." I assumed. Good, I dislike being turned into a debt. "Su du." We walked without touching. At the curb, black ice shone under the street lamp. I slowed, not pointing it out. She noticed? Of course she did. But she did not object, because I did not turn caution into ceremony. The diner was almost empty. Fluorescent lights. End. Cracked vinyl booths. A waitress who called everyone sweetheart without caring who anyone was. Eliza ordered tea and toast. I ordered black coffee and grilled cheese. For several minutes, we did not talk about the restaurant. That felt like respect. She stirred her tea once, then left the spoon untouched. "You're the Northridge archaeologist," she said. "I am. Your first ceramic sequence was misdated." I stopped with my coffee, halfway to my mouth. "It was. You corrected it in the second draft." "I did. Most men pretend the first error never existed. Most men don't have graduate students who photograph everything." A small smile appeared. "A practical answer. I appreciate those." "What about you?" I asked. "City Library Preservation Wing. You're working on the Municipal Ledger Stabilization Project?" "I am trying to," she said. "If the grant committee stops mistaking spectacle for substance." There it was. The real stake. Not a dinner. Not embarrassment. A grant. A career. A preservation project. Fighting time with too little funding. I leaned back. "Grayson has a competing application." "Yes." Then tonight was timed. "Yes." She said it without drama, which made it worse. Tea steamed between us. Outside, a bus exhaled at the curb and rolled away. Eliza traced the rim of her mug with one finger. "The Mellon review is in 2 days," she said. "My proposal is stronger. His politics are better. Rooms are temporary. Funding decisions aren't." That was the kind of sentence I trusted. Clean enough to cut. I opened my field notebook and wrote 3 lines. Dinner. Phones. Mellon review. Eliza watched my pen. "Do you write everything down?" "Only things people later deny." For the first time that night, she smiled fully. It changed the room. 2 days later, Grayson released the video. Not the raw footage. Men like Grayson never trust the truth unedited. He cut it carefully. Eliza entering, the table reacting, me standing, us walking out. He removed my words. He removed the phones. He removed the setup. The caption made it look like I had rejected her. By breakfast, the clip had moved through private faculty chats. By noon, 2 grant committee members had asked whether Eliza wanted to postpone her presentation because of the distraction. By 1, someone forwarded me the clip from an anonymous campus account with a laughing emoji attached. By 2, I was in Dr. Mara Voss's office with my field notebook open on her desk. She read my notes from the diner, then looked up over her glasses. You understand what you're alleging. I'm alleging targeted harassment connected to a grant review. And Grayson Lopez? I'm asking that campus IT preserve the login logs before they rotate, I said. I'm not asking for access. I'm asking for chain of custody. Evidence gathered wrong can become useless. I had learned that from my mentor's fall. Rage was fast. Procedure survived. Dr. Voss tapped the notebook. You documented the dinner before the video appeared? Yes, witnesses? I slid the page toward her. If. Table positions. Phone angles. Manager present near the end. And your reason for attending? Budget pressure. She removed her glasses. From Grayson? Implied. Careful, Anderson. That's why I'm here. For 10 seconds, she said nothing. Then she called the university ethics liaison. By evening, IT had preserved the anonymous account metadata under an ethics hold. I did not see the server records. I received only a formal summary through Dr. Voss and the ethics office. The anonymous account had been accessed from Grayson's office desktop 15 minutes before the video spread. That was the first crack. The second came from Grayson's own grant history. His previous funded project cited 1,910 census figures. The packet was public because donor funds had been involved. His appendix listed 3 county totals that did not match the city library's scanned ledgers. 1 wrong number could be error. 3 wrong numbers, all making his impact look larger, had shape. I emailed Eliza 1 sentence. Do you have 10 minutes to verify a source citation in the 1910 municipal ledgers? She replied 7 minutes later. Bring coffee if you expect me to read Grayson's footnotes. The city library's preservation wing sat in the east corner of the old building, past a marble staircase worn smooth by a century of shoes. The room smelled of lemon oil, dust, and cotton paper. Long wooden tables rested under green-shaded lamps. Brittle maps slept behind glass. Eliza sat at the far table with 2 ledgers open in front of her. Her sleeves were rolled once at the wrist. No softness added for anyone's comfort. No sign she had spent the last 2 days being turned into a whisper. I placed a paper cup of coffee near her elbow, 3 feet from the documents. She glanced at the distance. Acceptable. I live for moderate approval. Do not get comfortable. I set the folder down. She opened it. The room went quiet except for the wall clock and the dry whisper of paper under her gloved hand. At page 4, she stopped. This is wrong. Yes. No. She reached for another ledger. This is shaped. That was why I had come to her. I knew context. She knew records the way a surgeon knows tissue. She could tell the difference between accident and manipulation by the pressure points. She pulled 3 scanned ledgers, 1 donor report, and a microfilm index. I wrote as she called each source. County total. I wrote it. Original ledger page. I wrote it. Grayson's cited number. I wrote it. Difference. I stopped. The same inflation pattern appears in all 3. Eliza looked at the page. The air shifted. He copied the false formula, she said, or built the report from a corrupted spreadsheet. Either way, he submitted fabricated metrics. She sat back. For the first time since the diner, the exhaustion showed around her eyes. The video had hurt her. She had not said it. She had not asked who had watched, who had laughed, who had gone quiet when she entered a hallway. But silence leaves bruises, too. I drafted a withdrawal email, she said. The sentence was so quiet the lamps seemed to lean closer. I kept my pen still. Because of the video? Because 2 committee members suddenly care about optics? Because Grayson is good at making a lie easier to believe than a woman's competence? Because I refuse to sit in a room while men who have not read my proposal decide whether I am too embarrassing to fund? Her voice stayed controlled until the final word. Then it sealed itself. I wanted to say she should not have to. I wanted to promise he would not win. I wanted to fill the room with things that sounded kind and did nothing. Instead, I slid the evidence index toward her. Then don't defend your dignity, I said. Make them evaluate misconduct. She looked down. The ethics office preserved upload metadata, I continued. It points to Grayson's office desktop. Your ledger verification shows his prior numbers were manipulated. That makes the video part of a pattern by a competing applicant. It's not a personal distraction anymore. It's an academic integrity problem. Eliza looked at me. You went through ethics before coming here. Yes, good. The word hit harder than praise should. Then her eyes narrowed. But you wrote the opening statement. I drafted a structure. How much of my anger did you remove? I did not answer quickly enough. She pulled the page toward herself and read the first paragraph. Her jaw tightened. There it is. What? You made me sound untouched. I made it harder to dismiss. You made it cleaner. Her fingers pressed the paper flat. I am not untouched, Anderson. I am controlled. There is a difference. The sentence took the air from my lungs. She was right. I had done it again. Turned pain into a cleaner document, because clean documents win rooms. Sometimes that was strategy. Sometimes it was erasure wearing a suit. I pushed the page back to her. Rewrite it. I intend to. I mean, I should not have done that without asking. Her eyes stayed on mine. No, you should not have. I was wrong. Yes. She picked up her pen. Trust did not bloom. It sharpened. She rewrote the paragraph by hand. I copied it exactly. The grant hearing was the next morning. The boardroom had glass walls and no warmth. 7 committee members sat around an oval table with printed packets and the expressions of people prepared to manage a problem rather than understand it. Grayson was already there in a navy suit, laughing softly with one of the members. His laugh faltered when Eliza entered. It died completely when he saw me behind her. I did not sit beside her. This was her room, her proposal, her fight. I took a chair against the back wall, opened the cracked leather notebook, and placed my pen across the page. Dr. Aris, the committee chair, adjusted his glasses. Ms. Richardson, he said, we received your note requesting an ethics addendum. Yes, Eliza said. She stood at the head of the table. No trembling hands, no lowered eyes, no request to be liked. Before presenting the preservation proposal, I am submitting a formal concern regarding interference from a competing applicant. Grayson leaned back. This is dramatic. Eliza did not look at him. She placed 7 folders on the table. The folders contain 3 parts, she said. First, the ethics liaison's metadata summary, tying the edited video to Dr. Lopez's office desktop. Second, source comparisons from the 1,910 municipal ledgers cited in Dr. 7, Lopez's previous grant report. Third, a timeline showing that the video circulated less than 3 hours before committee members contacted me about postponing today's review. The room went still. Dr. Aris opened the folder. Grayson's smile thinned. Are we really doing this? She's embarrassed because a dinner went badly. Eliza turned. Not sharply, not dramatically, just enough. The dinner did not go badly, she said. It revealed conduct. His hand moved toward his phone, then stopped. Everyone saw it. Dr. Aris looked at the first page. This metadata was preserved by ethics? Yes, Eliza said, after Dr. Evans submitted contemporaneous notes. The chair looked at me. I stood. As the other person targeted by the edited video, I documented the dinner before the video appeared, I said. My notes include witness names, phone positions, and the fact that Ms. Richardson was invited under false professional pretenses. I did not access IT records. The ethics office preserved and summarized the metadata. Dr. Aris nodded once. Procedure had entered the room. Grayson laughed again, but there was no power in it now. So Anderson writes little field notes, and suddenly, Dr. Lopez, Doctor, Aris said. Let him finish. Grayson's mouth closed. I looked down at my notebook, at the cracked spine beneath my thumb. 5 years ago, I had written notes after the damage. This time, the record had started before the lie. The second section concerns Dr. Lopez's prior funded project, I said. The cited census figures do not match the public scans from the city library ledgers. Ms. Richardson verified the source path last night. The repeated discrepancy is consistent with deliberate inflation, not accidental transcription. A committee member flipped pages. These are public ledgers? Eliza answered. Yes, source links are listed. Page images are included. Grayson pushed back his chair. This is retaliation. No, Eliza said. Retaliation hides evidence. This is documentation. The words landed cleanly. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Dr. Eris closed the folder and removed his glasses. Dr. Lopez, he said, please wait outside while the committee reviews this addendum. The ethics office will receive the full packet. Grayson looked around the table. He found paper. No allies. No laughter. No one willing to be recorded standing beside him. He left the room. The glass door clicked shut. The silence after him was not empty. It was space being returned to the person he tried to erase. Dr. Eris turned back to Eliza. Ms. Richardson, he said, softer now, please present your preservation proposal. I sat down. Eliza did not look back at me. She did not need to. She opened her packet and began. I had read her proposal twice, but hearing her speak made it alive. She described brittle paper, climate control microenvironments, ink stabilization, public access, and the responsibility of preserving records for people whose names had almost vanished because no one powerful had cared to keep them. Her voice did not ask for sympathy. It required attention. By the time she finished, even the committee member who had mentioned optics was taking notes. When the hearing ended, I left before the vote. That was deliberate. Her win needed to belong to her. Rain silvered the sidewalks outside. I walked to the city library and took my usual corner table in the preservation wing. I opened the field notebook and tried to transcribe Northridge coordinates. The numbers blurred. I blamed the lamp. An hour later, footsteps crossed the hardwood floor. Eliza stood across from me, damp at the edges from the rain, holding 2 paper cups. She placed one beside my notebook, exactly 3 inches from the edge and far from every document. Acceptable distance? I asked. I learned from a moderately competent man. That sounds like praise if I don't inspect it. Then don't. She sat. For a moment, neither of us touched the coffee. They approved the grant, she said. I released a breath I had been holding for an hour. Of course they did. Do not pretend you weren't worried. I was worried about the room, not the proposal. That is fair. Less. Steam rose between us. Dr. Eris said your documentation was careful, she said. Restrained. Useful. Useful is almost romantic in my profession. Her smile was tired and real. You left before the vote, she said. It was your room. You helped make it safe. I helped make it accurate. Both can be true, Anderson. I looked down at the cracked notebook. My thumb had found the broken ridge again. Eliza noticed. She reached across the table and rested 2 fingers lightly on the cover. Not on my hand. Not yet. This is the notebook from the dinner. Yes. You kept the first notes in here? Yes. Good. The word was soft enough to feel private. Weeks passed in small acts. Eliza's grant moved into implementation. She hired 2 preservation assistants, upgraded humidity controls, and began stabilizing the municipal ledgers Grayson had tried to misuse. Grayson went under ethics review, then administrative leave. His previous grant was reopened. The university did not make a dramatic confession. Institutions prefer passive voice when shame is expensive. But Grayson no longer sat on my review committee. My excavation budget survived. Dr. Voss routed my proposal through an external panel. When the approval came in, I was sitting across from Eliza in the library corner. I read the email twice. Then I turned the laptop toward her. She scanned the first line. Northridge is funded. Yes, good. She took the red pencil from behind her ear and wrote on a scrap of catalog paper, Congratulations. Do not misdate the ceramics this time. I stared at it. This is deeply moving. It should be. I used a full sentence. I kept the note inside the back cover of my field notebook. That was how we became close. Not through grand declarations. Through coffee placed beyond spill range. Through red pencil notes. Through arguments over possibly and probably. Through her correcting me when I tried to make her pain easier for committees to swallow. Through me learning that protecting a woman's dignity did not mean stepping in front of her every time the room turned cruel. Sometimes it meant standing at the back with the record ready, so when she spoke, no one could pretend they had not heard. The first time she trusted me with the lower archives, she handed me a clipboard instead of a confession. The humidity monitors need checking Saturday morning, she said. I have a symposium. My name was written on the access form, in her precise handwriting. You added me as temporary preservation support. You notice small changes. That is almost a compliment. It is a task. Even better, she gave me the key only after I signed the log, read the protocol, and repeated the emergency procedure back to her. Then she placed the brass key in my palm. It was warm from her hand. Neither of us spoke. The key was practical. That was why it mattered. She was not giving me a symbol. She was giving me responsibility inside the most protected part of her world. I'll check them at 9, I said. 8:30. The east wall sensor drifts after sunrise. 8:30. Anderson? I looked up. Her fingers had curled once against her palm. I don't give keys lightly. Formaning. I know. Good Saturday morning. I checked the monitors at 8:30 exactly. The east wall sensor had drifted by 2 degrees. I logged it, photographed the display, adjusted nothing without authorization, and sent Eliza the report. Her reply came 10 minutes later. Acceptable. Then another message. Thank you. I stood alone in the lower archive, smiling at my phone beneath a humidity sensor. By autumn, the preservation wing looked different. New cases lined the east wall. The municipal ledgers rested in stabilized sleeves. A public exhibit opened on ordinary lives recorded in city documents. Dock workers, seamstresses, teachers, widows, children whose names had survived because someone once wrote them down carefully. Eliza invited me to the opening. She did not ask. She said, "Wear the dark suit. The gray one makes you look like you're apologizing to a committee." I wore the dark suit. The exhibit hall filled with donors, students, librarians, and faculty who suddenly remembered they had always respected Eliza's work. Dr. Aries came. Dr. Voss came. Even the restaurant manager appeared near the back. After learning what had happened in his dining room, he had sent a formal witness statement to ethics without being asked. Eliza thanked him herself. I watched from beside a display case, my thumb against the cracked notebook inside my jacket. Eliza stood at the podium under warm lights. She spoke about preservation as public honesty. She did not mention Grayson. She did not need to. The exhibit itself was the answer. Near the end, she looked across the room and found me. I straightened. That made her mouth twitch. Then she said, "This project survived because records matter, and because people willing to protect records also matter." Dr. Anderson Evans helped document a difficult truth when silence would have been easier. His work reminded this institution that evidence is not only something we preserve from the past, it is something we owe one another in the present. The room turned toward me. Not with mockery, not with phones raised, with respect. I did not know what to do with my hands, so I held the notebook tighter and nodded once, like a man receiving a field permit instead of public praise. Eliza saw that too. After the speeches, she found me near the stairwell. "You look terrified," she said. "I was observing. You were hiding behind a fern. It had excellent coverage." She laughed. The sound moved through me with the steadiness of something I did not want to overanalyze. Then she pulled a small, clear sleeve from her folder. Inside was the scrap of catalog paper, where she had written, "Congratulations. Do not misdate the ceramics this time." I stared at it. "You took that from my notebook?" "I borrowed it during your speech panic." "That is an archival violation. I made a preservation copy." She handed me the sleeve. Below the old note, she had added a second line. "Some records are worth keeping because they prove the moment something changed." My throat tightened. The hallway around us was quiet, except for the distant murmur of the exhibit crowd. "Eliza," I said. "Yes?" I had planned to say something careful someday, something balanced, something that would not pressure her, would not turn gratitude into obligation, would not make partnership feel like debt. But she had taught me the cost of making true things too clean. So I said it plainly. "I care about you." Her eyes held mine. "I know," she said. Then she stepped closer and took my hand. No audience. No performance. No room waiting for a punchline. Just her fingers fitting into mine with the calm certainty of a document placed exactly where it belonged. "I care about you too," she said. "But I need us to stay honest. If you start managing me, I will correct you. I expect nothing less. If you hide risk from me to protect me, I will be angry. You should be. And if you misdate ceramics again, that was one time. It was memorable." I laughed. She smiled like she had been waiting for it. Months later, on the morning before I left for North Ridge, I found Eliza in the preservation wing before sunrise. The building was nearly dark. The windows were blue with early light. The lower archive hummed beneath us. She stood at the central table with a small package wrapped in brown paper. "You're early," I said. "So are you?" I had gear to check. I had a record to return. She held out the package. Inside was my cracked leather field notebook. For one terrible second, I thought she had repaired it. Then I saw she had not. The cracks remained. The worn spine still caught beneath my thumb. The corners were still softened by heat, dust, rain, and years of being shoved into field bags. But she had made a protective cover for it. Thin clear. Archival grade. Fitted perfectly without hiding the damage. I didn't want to erase the wear, she said. That would be dishonest. I ran my thumb over the familiar ridge, now protected beneath the clear layer. But leaving it untreated would let it split further, I said. Yes. The words carried more than paper. I looked at her standing in the blue morning light, hair pinned imperfectly. One sleeve buttoned wrong because she had come in early and would never admit it. You handled it correctly, I said. Her face softened. So did you? Outside, the city began to wake. A truck moved along the avenue. Somewhere upstairs, a door opened. The day was coming whether either of us was ready or not. Eliza picked up the brass archive key from the table and pressed it into my palm. I'll need that back before you leave. You trust me with the lower archives but not with remembering to return a key? I trust you with fragile things, she said. I also know you put pencils behind your ear and spend 20 minutes looking for them. That is fair. I gave her the key. She took it, then kept my hand. For a moment, neither of us moved. The first time we stood together, a room had waited for cruelty. Phones raised. Smiles sharpened. A lie ready to become entertainment. Now there was only a quiet archive, a protected notebook, and the woman who had taught me that truth was not cold when handled with care. I had thought strength meant standing untouched. Eliza taught me something better. Strength was keeping the record accurate without pretending the damage had never happened. She rose slightly and kissed my cheek, brief and warm, then stepped back before the moment could become something we had to perform. Go dig up your dirt, doctor. Evans, she said. Preserve your paper. Ms. Richardson. I always do. I slid the protected notebook into my jacket, right over my heart, where the cracked leather no longer felt like something I used to steady myself alone. Then I walked out into the morning. The end.